Greetings, users and libraries participating in the SCOOLS Union Catalog. This is John with Opals, and in this video tutorial I'd like to cover searching the SCOOLS Union Catalog. The first thing I'd like to do is point out that I'm acting as though I'm at Horseheads High School via GST School Library System. Thank you very much. And when you log in, you may see something quite different. You may see BDT, CAY, School Library System, DCMO, ONC, or TST. Of course, your district and library will reflect where you are using the Union Catalog. The first thing I'd like to do is do a very large or broad search, and I'm going to put in a term. Now, typically you wouldn't do this in the Union Catalog because you're probably looking for a specific title to borrow for your school in the ILL system. But just to show you, I've not changed anything in location. I'm doing a very broad geographical search. I'm using Anywhere, which is probably not the best search to do to look for a book in ILL, but I just wanted to illustrate what it'll look like. I'm going to click the search option. And when the results come up, you will see that I'm covering the wide geographic area of the SCOOLS Union Catalog. We have GST, we have Cayuga-Boise School Library System, we have DCMO School Library System, and their appropriate or respective school, Hancock Middle High School. Here we have BDT. And we have Maine Endwell Central School and Maine Endwell High. So when you do such a search where you're not specifying the location, basically you'll be searching the entire area of the SCOOLS Union Catalog, all the Boise school library systems that participate. Okay, I was recently asked to see if I could find the book 1984 in Spanish. So I'm going to leave it very broad. In other words, I'd like to capture all the libraries that could possibly have that book, 1984, in Spanish. So I'm not changing the location, and we'll get to this in a moment, the location. I'm going to go to an advanced search, which is really the best way to find a book in Spanish. So I'm clicking advanced search. I'm going to click the down arrow and put in the title, 1984. I'm using Anywhere. And I'm going to put in Spanish, the language that I'm looking for the title 1984. The reason I'm using Anywhere is I'm not sure where Spanish may show up in a library catalog, MARC record specifically. So I'm using Anywhere to capture anywhere in the MARC record. Finally, I'm going to click Book and now click Search. Again, I'm using the entire SCOOLS Union Catalog area. And right off the bat, I find 1984 in Spanish, and I find it at Cayuga School Library Systems, Southern Cayuga Central School District, and Southern Cayuga High. Again, I did a very broad search because I actually knew beforehand that this may be a hard item to find. So I went very large geographically to all the school library systems. Okay. Let's go do another search. This time I'm going to illustrate the location option. You may always want to do a very large geographic search for all the school library systems, or perhaps you would like to stay closer to home, so to speak. So I'm going to choose, because I'm in GST Boise School Library System with Horseheads, I'm going to choose GST, all districts and all libraries. And I'll click OK. This time, I'm going to search 1984 as a title. The results will come up and they will not be as geographically broad as it was when I did the search earlier for 1984 in Spanish. Now you'll only see GST schools that participate in the GST school library system. So for example, in Equestrian 1984, we have Horseheads Central School District, Horseheads High School. Here we have Elmira City School District, Ernie Davis Academy 7 to 12. So what I did again, just to review, is I chose my location somewhat close to home for Horseheads, and I chose GST School Library System, all school districts, all libraries. One other thing I'd like to point out right at this outset of this tutorial is levels. You can choose a down arrow here and choose Lexile, Fountas and Pinnell, Accelerated Reader, and Reading Counts. Let's say you choose Accelerated Reader. When you choose whatever reading or level you're using, whether it's Accelerated Reader, Lexile, and so forth, you'll have the appropriate search options for that reading level system. So here we have reading level 5.1 to 403, interest level, and point value that are associated with Accelerated Reader. I should mention at this point that if you're using a reading level, it has to be in conjunction with whatever you search down here. So if you're searching for accelerated reading level for 1984, I already kind of know 1984 might not be a lower reading level. But just so you know, in the future when you're searching, if you use a reading level, whether it be Accelerated Reader, Lexile, and so forth, you'll want to use that in conjunction with the search here. It seems to me I should mention that if you're using a reading level, that would really curtail a large or a broad search for the book you're interested in. You might be looking for a book for a student or a teacher to loan out and get it from another library because you don't own it. So adding the filter of a reading level may give you less results. So that's something you might not want to use in your search for an item to borrow from another library. Okay. I would like to also point out that similar to your library catalogs, you have the Anywhere option, title, author, subject, local call number. Can't imagine you use barcode very often. Dewey, the record ID, can't imagine you'll use that very often. You would need to know the record ID at a borrowing library or a lending library, and you would need to know the barcode of a lending library. So I doubt you'd be using that very often. You may use the ISBN or the ISSN. The Library of Congress classification and control number, I don't think you'd use these very often because, as I understand, all the libraries that participate in schools are Dewey libraries. You could also use medium, note, a non-public note. I don't see that being used. Perhaps the place of publication and maybe the publisher. You might even look for a series title or a uniform title. But typically, if you're looking for a very specific book to loan to one of your students or teachers and you're trying to get it from a lending library, I would think you might go more towards title or ISBN or ISSN. Before this tutorial ends, I'd like to do a quick review. Right now, you'll see I have the South Central Organization of School Library Systems, i.e. the Union Catalog, Schools Union, and this is where you're doing a very broad search. You can, of course, select location and narrow your search closer to home, closer to your school library system. But bear in mind that the closer you get to home or your school library system, you may not find specifically what you're looking for. For example, when I searched 1984 in Spanish, I went to the entire region, the entire geographic region. Okay. Finally, or secondly, you've got these levels that you can use, but bear in mind that they will filter out many options or many hits on titles that you're looking for. So I'd use these very carefully. I probably would never do an anywhere search. I would probably be more inclined to do a title search, an ISBN, an ISSN search, as I'm looking for a title from a borrowing library to lend to one of my students or teachers. And final option you have is the advanced search, where you can search all these options similar to the very front page search. So I would search title and I put in 1984, anywhere I put in Spanish because I'm looking anywhere in the MARC record, and finally I clicked book and I clicked search. So the advanced search is very nice to use, and I'd also say use it in conjunction with a wide search, the wide geographic search of the Schools catalog. I think I've gone on long enough. I'd like to keep these videos short. So if you have any questions, please contact the school library system that you participate with, and they can get a hold of Opals or John. I'm John Schuster, and I'd be glad to provide any Zoom sessions you might like. And all the best. There will be a few tutorials coming out of using the Union Catalog, requesting items, creating slips, etc., in the ILL system. Thanks.